To hear you, press the Start Broadcast button on the GoToWebinar control panel. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for sitting in on this Shortcuts classroom session. My name is Noah, and I will be presenting the Shortcuts Marketing Elite Advanced class. And like previous sessions, we usually wait a minute or two because I noticed some attendees are joining. They're still getting their coffee, getting their notebooks ready. So we'll hold on for just a minute, and then we'll get started. Okay, so thanks for joining us, and we will begin shortly. Okay, I think that's everybody that's going to join for now. So again, welcome everybody. My name is Noah, and I will be presenting the Shortcuts Marketing Elite Advanced class. I will be recording, so in case you have to leave earlier, in case you're joining late, you will have a full recording of this. So stand by while I hit record. There it goes. And let's get started. So if you've been with us previously, or if this is your first time joining us, this webinar is approximately 30 to 45 minutes. We will allow time at the end to take questions. So hopefully you can hear me. And again, if you can't hear me or if you have to drop out, we will record this and we will send you a link a little bit later today. So try to hold on to any questions until the end unless you have something pressing. On the right side where you have your GoToMeeting toolbar, your GoToWebinar toolbar, you should have the ability to ask a question. So what's the focus on today? So a couple of weeks back, we talked about Shortcuts Marketing Elite, which is a more robust, more flexible version of our Shortcuts Marketing client. So Shortcuts Marketing works for about 90% of our customers. This includes whether the customer needs to send a one-time message or they want to have automated messages to their clients. It's very easy to set up, and Shortcuts Marketing is pretty good for just about everybody that works with Shortcuts. But then we have a couple of sites that are very particular about their branding, their image. So they want to have more creative control over their graphics, over their text, over their colors, over their placement of rows and items in their emails. So if you're one of those sites, then you absolutely should be using Shortcuts Marketing Elite. If you're a longtime Shortcuts user, this was previously the web program called GCast, but GCast went out of business, Shortcuts took them over, and now we're integrating up much better with the system. So the nice thing about Shortcuts Marketing Elite is the flexibility and the power behind the system. So today we're going to look at how to create a targeted list, not just a targeted list, but how to work with demographics. We're also going to talk about some of the advantages. If you're very specific about your graphics, your web, or your presentation when it comes to your promotions, then you want to be able to have more creative control. And that's what Shortcuts Marketing Elite offers. So if you have a design team that you're working with, if you're building your own HTML email templates from scratch, you can absolutely use that in Shortcuts Marketing Elite. So let's start with targeted lists. So in Shortcuts, this is something that we've mentioned in previous classroom sessions. You have the ability to create a list of very specific customers. In Shortcuts, you have a marketing tool, which allows you to set a list of clients based on certain criteria. Perhaps you're sending a list based on their occupation, what demographic that is, based on what service they've received or what purchases or what products they've purchased in the past. So Shortcuts can generate a list, and that list can be exported from Shortcuts and imported into Shortcuts Marketing Elite. The other thing you can do is once you're in Shortcuts Marketing Elite, you can set demographics based on other criteria. So from the Shortcuts point of sale itself, you have the ability to narrow down on certain filters, services, products, preferred employees, things like that. And in Shortcuts Marketing Elite, the web-based version, you can filter even further into your list. So a quick review. If you have customers in Fusion in your Shortcuts point of sale, you're going to go to your marketing button under tools. You're going to select the customers based on a certain demographic, service or product, for example, and you're going to press compute to get that list of customers. So once you have your customers, you'll press the save button and save that text file to your documents folder or to your desktop, wherever you can get quick access to it. And then once you have that file, you'll want to go into Shortcuts Marketing Elite. So once you go to the web page, you need to import your customer list. So in Shortcuts Marketing Elite, you're going to go to the admin button, and that's at the very top. you're going to go to your member database and click on the link for import members. There's going to be a pop-up window that says, please browse, please upload this file. And then when you press done, Shortcuts Marketing Elite is going to ask you to map the fields. So this is just confirming with Shortcuts Marketing that first name equals first name, last name equals last name, address, phone number, etc., etc. Just to make sure that in case you're in a different region or in a different country, that everything is mapping to the correct field. So we're actually going to do a demo. So let's get out of the PowerPoint for a second and let's jump into Shortcuts. So in Shortcuts, if I wanted to generate a list of customers, I would go under Tools to Marketing. So normally on this window, I would use the top row to select customers that have purchased certain services, or in the middle row, select customers that have never purchased certain services. But at the bottom, I'm just going to hit compute and pretend I've already enabled my filters. So Shortcuts is going to generate the list, and this list will only be people that you have emails for, contact for, and have opted in to receive those messages. So in my test database, I just have one customer. It's my pretend customer. So that's okay whether I have 1, 100, 1,000. Shortcuts Marketing does not have a cap on how many customers can receive this message. So if you're a site that's been around for a few years and you have thousands of customers that have opted into emails, that's okay. You can upload this list. So I would press the save button and I would save it to one of my folders, documents or desktop, wherever I want. So I've actually saved this file. I saved it yesterday. So I'll pretend I saved it. And then do I want to save this for future marketing? Well, no, not really. I may change my criteria for a future campaign. So once I've saved my list in Shortcuts, now I'm going to go to Shortcuts Marketing Elite. And again, I'm going to go to Admin. And then under my member database, I'm going to import members. So Shortcuts Marketing says, please browse, please search for my list of customers. And I saved it on the desktop. And it's going to be a text file. Here it is from yesterday. Open. So Shortcuts Marketing Elite recognizes the column headers in the text file, but it wants to verify. It wants to make sure there's no mistake. Salutation, should it map salutation? So things like Mr., Mrs., Doctor, things like that. Yes or no? And if yes, then we want to tell Shortcuts, okay, this is what it should be for the customer, whatever that particular criteria is. Most of these are automatically mapped. So given name equals first name, family name equals last name. Is it important that I map their address? Probably not, because I'm just going to email market to them. I may or may not need a city, state, or zip. What about referral? Should it map the referral? Maybe that's important to do that. So you'll want to go through, and whatever you can map, you'll want to make sure you map those details. So birthday, etc., etc., etc. And if this is something you plan on using perhaps during the holidays or even next year, rather than manually having to map your fields from Shortcuts each and every time, at the very top, you'll notice you can save this layout. So you can say, this is my Shortcuts default. So that way you press the button, all the fields are mapped correctly, and then you can press Import Update Now at the bottom. So now Shortcuts Marketing Elite has a copy of very specific customers you want to market to. So we'll hold on to those steps for a moment, and let's go back to the presentation. So once you have your customer list, now it's time to actually start building a campaign. In the previous classroom, when I was looking at Shortcuts Marketing Elite, I demonstrated how easy it is to take an existing template, and we offer a number of templates for automated messages or for seasonal events, and you're welcome to update the graphics, and you're welcome to update the text. So it's very easy to work with. But again, if you're very specific about your branding, your image, your graphics, you can start from scratch. You can use the built-in drag and drop email editor, or you can even use an HTML creator if you want to get down to the very last line of code on the email that you send out. So you have both options. So if you have a design team that you're working with, if you're a multi-site location and you want to have templates for each site, you can build them from scratch. You can upload the HTML and you can share them between sites. So let's actually look at some of those options in Shortcuts Marketing Elite. So again, we'll get out of the presentation for a second, and this time we'll go back to Shortcuts Marketing. So if you're comfortable working with web design programs, email programs, you can go directly to your campaign manager or just create a new campaign, and you can start with a template. And again, Shortcuts offers a number of seasonal or holiday templates. And if you press edit, you can start to customize it for your business. But let's say you don't want to start with an existing template. If we go back to the previous screen, you can start with a blank drag and drop email creator. And on this window, you literally start with a blank frame. So on the left is the preview of what it looks like. And on the right, you'll have 3 tabs: layout, edit, styling. These 3 tabs change depending on what you're using. So layout, if you decide I want to have my company logo at the top of the email, then I can drag and drop the image tile from the right side over to the left. And then Shortcuts will ask me, browse, and I can upload my company logo into my image folder and select it. So if you notice on the right, my tool now says edit. Is there anything I want to do with this image once it's here? Do I want to insert a web link to that picture? So maybe I want to link it to my store page or my online booking page or my company web page. Do I want to make the image larger or smaller? Once I'm happy with it, I can go to layout, and now I can start dragging and dropping other tiles. Maybe I want a column of text or 2 columns of text. Maybe I want to put in my social media. All I have to do is drag and drop those. And as I drag and drop them, I do have the ability to change their order, change their position. So I can drag the rows above or below, or I can select a row. And if you notice the top right, I have the ability to close or to delete. So nothing is set in stone. This is very flexible and it's very easy to work with. So if you have no HTML experience, this is a great way to start with some of the basics. On the right side, whenever I select text, this is where I actually type my changes. I can change the size of the font, I can change the color. I have a number of basic tools I can use here. So this is already more flexible than standard Shortcuts Marketing available in the cloud. So once I'm happy with my template, I can save it. But let's go back one more window. So let's say you don't want to use the drag and drop editor. You don't want to use the Shortcuts template library. At the very top of our templates, if you want to just upload your own template using HTML, perhaps you've copied it from another site, or perhaps you have a design team that was working with you that created a custom HTML template, this is where you would press the button and then upload the specific file or copy and paste in your HTML. So you have a number of ways to create, import your own custom templates. The nice thing about the drag and drop is that the rows that you're dragging in, the graphics that you're dragging in, the columns, this is optimized for mobile devices. So whether the customer has an iPhone or an Android, whether they rotate their phone landscape or portrait, these frames, these rows that you're dropping in are designed so that they scale and that they rotate correctly and everything shows up the way it should. Your text is still legible, your graphics are still legible. So keep it in mind. If you want to just experiment with this a little, it's a fun tool. It's very easy to work with. So let's go back one screen. So back in our presentation. So we've talked about creating a specific customer list. We talked about actually editing your own templates, uploading your own graphics or HTML. So once your campaign is ready, whether you used our templates, your own templates, and it's time to send a message, and you know that you need to reach very specific customers. This is where demographics come into play. So whether you're sending it only to your targeted list or you want to use a different type of filter, you need to know how to work with demographics. So for a targeted campaign, let's review the steps. The list of customers we exported from Shortcuts. We need to tell Shortcuts Marketing Elite who these customers are. So once you're in Shortcuts Marketing Elite, you're going to go to the demographics and choose these options. In demographics, you're going to go to manual import list and then press the checkbox on the specific list you uploaded. So let's actually review those steps. So I already have an email that I had queued up in Shortcuts Marketing Elite, and we'll go back to the web. So in my campaign manager, I'm going to search my history for campaigns that I was in the process of sending. So here, an important update. That's the one I'm going to. So the first window is where I just review my changes. When I press save and continue at the bottom of the screen, this is where I tell Shortcuts Marketing when should this message send out. Now on this window, this is where it's important. You have a send date, but under the send date, you have two different options, and you actually have the ability to have both of these checkboxes enabled. For the majority of your campaigns, you're going to use demographic criteria. If instead you press nominated member list, you would actually have the ability to see all of the customers that have opted in to receive emails, and you choose each of their names one person at a time. So maybe you have 6 or 7 specific people you're thinking of. You may want to use nominated member list. Now it's important, if you decide to use the nominated member list, do not also keep demographic criteria on, because it's going to send a message to the 6 or 7 specific people you want, but it's also going to send an email to everybody else in your database, unless you turn off your demographics. But in this case, we're going opposite. A specific demographic list. Save and continue. So we have a number of tiles. So we're going to start with the beginning. Normally, when you're sending an email, you want all of your available customers to receive it. So you never touch demographics. You leave it alone, and Shortcuts Marketing will know if it's somebody's birthday, send them a specific message. because all of that information is in your second option, send options. This is where we tell automated campaigns, send on the customer's date of birth, send on the customer's first visit date or last visit date. So in those scenarios, these demographics are really irrelevant. It'll know, oh, was it somebody's birthday on the second button? Okay, I'll send it to my customer that's having a birthday. But what are demographics used for? If I add a scenario, one of the scenarios is our targeted list. So we're going to tell Shortcuts Marketing, I always use master demographics. This is the list of every possible demographic you have. What's the category? The category is demographics. What's the specific demographic? In this case, it's my first option, manual import list. So I would click the checkbox on whichever list I had manually imported. And then when this email goes out, it will only target those 15, 30, 100 specific people that I pulled from Shortcuts. But what other demographics do I have? Let's take a look. So employee from client's first visit, client's last visit date, client's first visit date. And you can see we have a number of different demographics you can use. So this is a popular one. So let's say one of your employees is going to go on maternity leave, and you need to let all of the preferred customers for this employee know that this employee is going to be out for 3 or 4 months. So we can say the demographic is the client's preferred employee name. And Shortcut says is, and we type in the name of that employee. So we'll say is Angel. But Shortcuts marks a preferred employee if a customer has visited them 3 times consecutively. The Shortcut system will then tag that customer as having that preferred employee. But let's say you have a customer that has visited an employee once or twice, and right away, that customer already knows that this is the employee that they're going to prefer. So we want to make sure that we just reach out to those customers as well. So we're going to add a second demographic. So the first one is right away. Those specific customers that we absolutely know have a preferred employee. But you notice there is an or option. So or, I'm going to press the plus button on the right side, and I'm going to choose almost the exact same demographics. Master demographics, the category is demographics, but the specific demographic is what was the client, the employee from the client's last visit. So maybe this isn't the preferred employee yet. Maybe this customer has only seen Angel twice and has not been marked as the preferred employee. But just in case, they are also going to receive an email. So either the customer has Angel as the preferred employee, or Angel happens to be the last employee this customer visited. And we just want to let them know Angel's not going to be available for a few months. We're going to have you schedule with somebody else. So you do have the ability to do an or scenario on the first line. If you want to do an and scenario, I'm going to say customers who prefer Angel, who have that as the preferred employee, again, master demographics, demographics, but what's the other demographic? Perhaps customers who haven't visited, I should say, from a certain date. So if their last visit is before, is after, you start to see all of the different potential demographics you can have. If you'd like to send an email to customers that visited you in 2019 and have not visited you since, you can set a demographic for that. So feel free to explore the types of demographics you have to get a sense as to how powerful, how robust this is over the standard Shortcuts marketing. So we'll go back to the presentation. So now you understand that you can have both a targeted marketing list in Shortcuts Marketing Elite, and you can also set demographics. So you have multiple options. In standard Shortcuts Marketing in the cloud, you do have the ability to send an email to a targeted list, but you're limited. You don't really have demographics you can set. Also, the email is very basic. You don't have too much flexibility with graphics or text. So those are the advantages and disadvantages of standard Shortcuts Marketing versus Shortcuts Marketing Elite. And that actually wraps up today's classroom session. So you should now know how to create a targeted list in Shortcuts, how to get that list into Marketing Elite, how to work with graphics, how to work with the drag and drop editor, or if you have HTML, how to upload that code. And finally, how to set demographics. So before we wrap up today's classroom, before we open up the floor for questions, just a reminder that Social Sorted, we're still running the promotion for. If you have social media pages, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and you're looking for content to keep your customers engaged, if you're looking for ways to have a social media strategy, and it doesn't matter if you're a salon, a barbershop, a spa, how do you keep the customers engaged? We actually have a program that helps you with that, or in this case, a resource. So if you want to sign up, it's free from now until June 30th. So the sooner you sign up for it, the more time you can start using it. Take advantage of that. So go ahead and check it out at socialsorted.net. And now we're going to open up the floor for questions. So if anybody has a question, on the right side, you should have a little toolbar with a question row. And I'm going to check on my side, questions. I'm going to see if anybody has a question. I'll give you a few moments. And if not, we will wrap up today's session. I don't see any questions. Well, if you think of any questions, and again, this is being recorded, so if you see or think of anything after the fact, how to sign up for Shortcuts Marketing Elite, or what are the requirements, things like that, let us know. I'll put in my contact information. Actually, I'll put in our Shortcuts contact information. So reach out to the customer success team, or even reach out to us on social media. We are checking our Instagram and our Facebook, so if you post a question, we will get back to you. And if you don't get this, or if you forget to write it down, you can also contact support, and support will get you in contact with the right customer care member. So thank you all for attending. Again, if you're watching this after the fact, go ahead and reach out to us. We will get back to you. I appreciate all the attendees, and I look forward to seeing you on the next classroom session. Have a great day, everybody.